Does it still include the United States having ownership of Greenland like you said you wanted?
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. And I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals and other minerals.
Sir, how important is it for your legacy?
Have you already spoken to other European leaders? Have you already spoken to other European leaders?
Yes, I have.
How long
Which
will
one?
the deal be, Mr. President?
Infinite.
Did you speak to Denmark? Did you speak to Denmark?
It's forever.
Will there be money involved?
It's signed forever.
Will there be
It's a deal that's forever.
Will there be an effect?
In any way, Mr. President?
Will there be an effect?
What happens is people are out there and they're working it right now. They're working the details of the deal, but it's what's called an infinite deal. It's forever.
Will there be?
Donald Trump is crossing the red line on Greenland, but a question everyone is asking: why is Europe not pushing back? Trump's ambition to annex the Danish territory of Greenland has forced America's allies in Europe to confront an uncomfortable question. How much do Europeans need Washington's money, military might, and friendship? From energy to defense, Ukraine war to trade, Europe is heavily dependent on the United States. A European diplomat, while speaking to CNN, claimed that US officials framed ties with Europe, saying, "You want our help in Ukraine, you want a strong NATO, give us Greenland." Trump has stepped back from threatened tariffs to try and force US control over Greenland. The timing for war-hit Ukraine could hardly be worse. Intensive rounds of peace talks had brought Ukraine and the US close to a final agreement on post-war security guarantees and a so-called prosperity plan for Ukraine's post-war economic revival. Washington's peace efforts have failed to stop Russia's relentless bombing of Ukraine's cities. Europe has been trying to reduce military dependency on the United States amid Russian invasion threat.
France has made the decision to join the exercise that was planned and initiated by Denmark in a fully sovereign and independent manner within the framework of Arctic endurance. A first team of French military personnel is already on the ground. It will be reinforced in the coming days by land, air, and naval assets. And I would like to thank the scheme for having promptly, through its Danish partner, organized everything and been able to respond to the very concrete demands that were made. This is the role that France must fulfill: to be prepared and available when facing the assessment of a threat, to know how to adapt effectively, and to stand firmly alongside a sovereign state to help protect its own territory.
For decades, Europe lived under the security of an American nuclear umbrella to deter Russian aggression. The military muscle in Europe is still decidedly American, a fact not hidden from NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Some analysts have claimed that Europe could sell large holdings of US treasuries to counter Trump's Greenland threat.
The Donald Trump administration has downplayed reports of European nations mulling the sale of American bonds to counter Washington's threats over Greenland. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, while speaking in Davos, called the purported move a false narrative.
This is a false narrative that there is no talk in European governments. This was a report written by Deutsche Bank that this could happen. The media has latched onto this. I think it is a completely false narrative. It defies any logic, and I could not disagree more strongly on that. If you look, the U.S. Treasury market was the best market in the world, or the best G7 performing bond market, and We had the best performance since 2020. It is the most liquid market. It is the basis for all financial transactions. And I am sure that the European governments will continue holding it. And as I said, I think everyone needs to take a deep breath. Do not listen to the media, who are hysterical, just like they were, just like you all were. Let's just go back to what happened after April 2nd, hysteria. And what happened? We had the fastest stock market recovery in history. So I think these false narratives, get out there, get spun up out of control. When I was an investor, part of my success was sticking back, looking at the medium and long term, ignoring the media.
Donald Trump's decision to slap 10% tariffs on European nations opposing his bid to take over Greenland has triggered fresh tensions with Europe. The announcement had drawn angry retorts from the U.S. allies, who were pondering countermeasures. Besides retaliatory tariffs, the measures also include offloading U.S. Treasury bonds. A third of U.S. government bonds worth $30 trillion are held by foreigners and led by Japan. The United Kingdom, Belgium, Canada, and France are other major holders of the U.S. sovereign bonds. Aggressive sale of these bonds would cause long-term interest rates to spike. According to an AFP report, aggressive selling of these bonds would result in long-term interest rates to spike. It would make the refinancing of the U.S. debt hugely more expensive for Trump's administration and weigh heavily on corporate financing and the economy as a whole. According to Ipek Oskardeskaya, senior analyst at Swissquote, Europeans hold roughly $10 trillion in U.S. assets, around $6 trillion in U.S. equities, and roughly $4 trillion in treasuries and other bonds. Bessent added he expected Europeans to hold on to their exposure and not offload it. But asked by reporters at the Davos World Economic Forum whether the U.S. was preparing for such a scenario, Bessent said that it defies any logic. Calling the U.S. Treasury market the best-performing market in the world and the most liquid debt market, he said he expected Europeans to hold on to their exposure, not offload it.
I think that question is the myth of the false alternative. You're once again going to the farthest point, a maximalist position, that we are in the middle of President Trump's policies. And of course, Europe is an ally. The U.S. NATO membership is unquestioned. We are partners in trying to stop this tragic war between Russia and Ukraine. But that does not mean that we cannot have disagreements on the future of Greenland. Calm down the hysteria, take a deep breath. This is where we were last year. I'm sure you asked me the same question if we were here on April 2nd. And you know what? It all worked out. The economies are fine. We have a very good trade agreement. And I think our relations have never been closer.
There's a completely false narrative there, he said. I think everyone needs to take a deep breath. Do not listen to the media who are hysterical.